Inspirational moments from the process marathon, guys. We had so many good moments from our marathon, our 12-hour marathon last year. So we decided to break it down for you guys into small, bite-sized pieces. This is our first episode of Inspirational Moments from the process marathon. Shoutouts to the Candray Institute. Go to our YouTube channel, like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you will be informed every time we have new content coming out. After this video, please leave your comments in the sections below so that we can know how you feel about the video, so we could keep pushing out more informative and entertaining content. Inspirational moments from the process marathon.
Talk about being passionate about SPD and loving what we do, but and then we also on one another hand complain that people don't know who we are. We didn't know who we were, right? I never heard of sterile processing before I worked in the field, so absolutely your why can change. It's going to evolve.
And it should. And if you're feeling frustrated, stagnant, or stuck coming into this sterile processing week, that's your why begging your professional development to find the next reason why you do things. I hope that it's in sterile processing, because I'd love to perpetuate the industry that I'm just so proud to represent and add my voice to. But if it doesn't, that's fine too. But if you're feeling that you're in a cocoon and you're ready to explode, but you've just been in it too long, retouch why you do what you do and see if the why that you have is serving your professional end goals. And if it's not, it's time to pivot. I got my health insurance and then I was immediately discouraged and I was like, oh my God, I should have become an EMT. I seriously almost left sterile processing to become an EMT. And that's when I realized that it wasn't the profession that I was frustrated with. I was waiting for my profession to give me purpose when I needed to add purpose to my profession.
Absolutely.
And sterile processing is in such a need of that. You guys, I think we're on this precipice with sterile processing, where it's either going to explode or it's going to fold and go to AI. And I truly believe we're trending towards this way of it exploding. I think that there's so many CSpreneurs such as yourself and industry makers that are really paving the way and creating gateways for individuals to become the sterile processing professional that they want to become, that it's waiting. And it needs the voices. It needs the voices. You know what I mean?
Why does SPD week matter to you?
So, in fact, it's funny you should say that. I just finished writing an article that's going to go to, I believe, Healthcare Purchasing News or Healthcare Hygiene Magazine. That's publishing this week. And what I basically says, for many years, honestly, I took sterile processing week kind of for granted. And honestly, when people ask me what I did for many, many years, and I was in sterile processing, I kind of had a generic answer or comment that that's what I did. I told people a long time that I worked in the OR, or I worked in something else because I couldn't explain it to people.
Right.
Then many years ago, again, 15 or so years ago, when I started getting more active and more involved in the sterile processing community, not just in my hospital and not just in my department, but other departments in the hospital, as well as other communities such as ISHM and AMI and so on and so forth. I got that pride. I got bit by that bug. And I just went, okay, I want to do more. And yes, sterile processing week is one of those weeks that we rise up and we celebrate each other. We celebrate ourselves. We celebrate our awesome profession. But again, it doesn't have to be a week. And I know you've heard that theme before. Right. Make it every day. Make it every month. Now, 1 week is good. And it actually really helps our legislators out. It really helps when we go talk to congressmen and it's in the newspapers and we send stuff out. ISHM does send stuff out to all kinds of people all over. So when we want to go talk to someone, it's not just one time a week, year. It's not just one day. It's all the time. So I got bit by the bug many years ago to see the importance of not only celebrating, but recognizing and taking just a brief moment to say thank you. I tell you, one of the cool things that I get to do in my role is say thank you a lot to a lot of people. But here in the state of Colorado, and I know you got some listeners and viewers that are watching, but I'm visiting 16 hospitals this week. So from 2 to 3 hours away from me, I'm going to drive. I've already talked to them. I'm going to be driving. I'm going to be saying hello, hi. I'm meeting with their C-suite leadership, telling them the importance of sterile processing. I'm meeting with department staff during their shift reports. So I'm going to be on the road all week long visiting hospitals and departments and senior leadership to say, thank you for what you do, but also keep on going. It's don't give up after this week. Keep on going. So that's what sterile processing weeks to me is, just kind of a reinvigoration, because honestly, there's professions out there that don't get a week. They get a day.
Right.
There's professions that don't get anything.
Right.
So it is important to recognize it. And I know there's been, some people made fun of the pizza parties or whatever. So it's not about that. It's about saying thank you. And it's an honest to goodness smile and an honest to goodness thank you goes a long way. And we start that recognition. And that's really what I'm doing, is to build up our profession beyond the red line. And that's where I want to go.
How did you kind of get into that pathway?
Yeah, great question. And I appreciate the pot stirs. Jesse, I just love the content that you've been pumping out. It's just so, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, gosh, it's refreshing, to just be, this is real. I'm not sugarcoating anything. These are issues that I'm seeing, and this is how we fix them. Mm-hmm. There is a time and a place for that always. So thank you for all the content that you put out. And Veronica, your fabulous Friday posts, honestly, like, I love waking up on Friday mornings and seeing those posts.
Now, come on, Veronica.
I love it. Yes. But you're right. Like, Alessandra, you bring up such a great point. Like, burnout's a real thing. And everything that we've sort of mentioned, or that, the panelists have mentioned so far, get at the fact that obviously our job is hard in sterile processing. Our job is hard. Our job is high risk, not only for ourselves, but for the patients that our hospitals are serving. It's certainly high stakes, I'll say as well, because one wrong move can mean life or death for someone. And knowing that and showing up every day with the understanding that those things are very real and very valid can create this sort of like perfect storm where you're like all focused on. Obviously, everyone who's on here and everyone's who's tuned into this on a Sunday is dedicated.
Come on, dedicated.
That's dedication. So I think it creates this perfect storm where our dedication sort of takes over, and our self-awareness and self-love and self-care kind of take a back seat. But we don't realize it because we're so focused on doing what's right for the people around us, for our staff members, for our, our colleagues in our department, for the patients in our hospital, that it's like, that's our focus. And that's such an altruistic focus. It's such a good drum to beat, right?
Absolutely.
But we need to be poured into too.
Yes.
In order for us to give, we need to have a full cup. We can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
And so coming from a communications major, and just a little bit of backstory, I started out in college as an occupational therapy major, and I saw a cadaver in science class and I hit the floor. I passed out. Like, I just could not deal with seeing a cadaver. And so I switched to a communications major. And here I am full circle back in healthcare. Right. As a sterile processing tech now, I can handle blood a little bit better than I once could. But that communications switch, I think, was instrumental in showing me that no matter what industry you're in, communication matters.
Absolutely.
How you treat people through communication, whether it's using your words, using your tone, using your body language, all of that matters in how you transfer a message and translate a message.
100%.
So in learning more about that and in talking more about that, I've also learned very, very quickly that it's a learned skill. It's not something that you just wake up with and you're an awesome communicator. That's not a thing. It's not an expectation that can be placed on people, because there's a lot to know about the way you carry yourself and how you interact with people and how they're carrying themselves. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot in terms of actually preventing burnout or understanding that you're in a state of burnout. There's some serious self-awareness that comes with that.
Absolutely.
And I don't even think I'm there yet in truly understanding where I'm at. And I talk about and teach about this stuff often. So I feel like if it's something that I'm having an issue with, then I'm assuming that everybody else is going to have an issue, just kind of paying attention to that gauge.
Absolutely.
That burnout gauge, and understanding how far is too far. Mm-hmm. And understanding sort of that edge where when you butt up to that edge, that's where you have to start taking, a 30,000 foot back look and say, okay, this is what I need in this moment right now.
Mhm.
This is what will feed me. This is what will allow me to do this next big thing, or this next scary thing in my career, this next challenging thing. But understanding that line that you get to it and you're like, okay, I need to pour into myself, or I need someone to pour into me. And you guys, the process is pouring into other people. So you guys are doing that. I have goosebumps everywhere just saying that out loud. You guys are doing that. Yes. Every time you put out content, Veronica and Jesse, every time you guys put out content, that's a moment where someone can sit back and not have to pour into someone else in that moment. They're being poured into. They're getting education. They're getting information. They're getting inspiration from you. And I can't tell you how huge that is for an industry that needs that.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Leave those comments below. Guys, thank you for watching.